fire alarm does go off, it'll be move in an orderly fashion through the fire exit there and gather out by the council chambers. And the meeting is being recorded as usual, so if anyone objects, say so, but not usually. We have, item number 1, we have apologies, I think right in saying, from Councillors Scott, Wells, Lucas and Robertson.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That's item 2, public session. Is there any members of the public like to speak now?
Do I need to say it now?
If you want to speak, now will be the time to speak.
Okay.
When we had so I need to propose that we suspend standing orders, and seconded by Gordon. All in favour? Right. So Mandy, you've had your suspend standing orders so that the member can speak. And when Simon came in,
2 months ago.
Yeah, he spoke at this point, and then we considered his application when it was an agenda item later on. So if you'd like to say anything in support of your application, now's the time.
So I'm Mandy Taylor and I've submitted my application, and I'm sure you have read it, and if you have any questions, just ask me.
Well, I've read it, Mandy, and I thought it was very good. I've got no questions. I think it was very comprehensive.
It was comprehensive and a very interesting life you have.
It was very informative and well written, and it reflected all the sort of community work you've done here and in great places previously. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. Okay. So resume.
Yeah.
Seconded. Yeah. All in favour? Item number 3. I've got Steve Hunt. Yes, it is. Here to talk to us about the town hall refurbishment and what's been happening since the last time he spoke to us. I think councillors are generally confused about what's been happening, not much seems to have been happening, and so we would like to know more about the progress of the town hall refurbishment, please.
So you can see that, and if anybody would like a paper copy, if you don't have one, I have some here.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Steve, can I have one?
Can you all have to
Yeah.
keep on from Monday?
So I think when I was here last time, the first section of the report, I haven't changed a great deal because I'm afraid it does need to stay there for context, really, as to why we are where we are. So I'm not going to go through it line by line, but it does describe the additional works and the previous delays, and its effect on the programme and on the cost. I won't dwell on it for too long, but it does really need to be there, so that everybody can understand why we've got to where we've got to. So the current works and programme, which is section 2, and if this was circulated to you in advance, I hope it was. Unfortunately, there isn't a great deal of good news I can offer you at the moment. Works are currently progressing very slowly. They hadn't, or our contractor ANG had advised in early September that the completion date is now the 24th of January 25, having previously advised that it was going to be the 30th of September. I can't remember what I reported last time. That's I don't know whether that had already occurred, but this is the latest as to where we are. The main reasons for this are that bespoke joinery has not been procured, which is a major issue. This stems back to ceiling fixers that were arranged to attend site, and that was agreed with ANG, but they didn't arrive, and it led to delays in the scaffold being stripped, and this has delayed the measure for the accurate survey of the joinery, and the original manufacturing slot was lost. The manufacture can now not take place until late October, which is roughly where we are now. So there's an 8-week manufacturing period and a 4-week install, which takes us into January. We obviously questioned ANG some time ago about procurement of joinery manufacturer and other contractors for that matter, because they don't seem to be, their organisation has been poor, and I've asked them on numerous occasions for various documents to back up where they are in terms of procurement, and those documents haven't been forthcoming in terms of a procurement schedule, and we still await a revised programme which we haven't received. So as I've said there, we are anticipating a revised programme, but this has still not arrived, and this does not fill us with confidence in terms of fixing a firm completion date. But at this stage we can only report on the information that we have, which is that completion date of the 24th of January. However, as I've noted, that now seems unlikely, but we have nothing else to go on at the moment. There are anticipated future milestones which are listed there. One of those key milestones is the laying of the underfloor heating and then the floor screed. For various reasons, that still hasn't happened. So we are, in terms of the programme, we're not in a great place at the moment.
Can I just stop you there? When you say for various reasons it's not happened, could you give us a bit more detail on that? Is it, have you got, because it sounds like communication has been difficult, so has it not been explained to you why it's not happened, and if it's taken a long time between it's meant to have happened and now not happened?
Well, the underfloor heating should have been laid.
Yeah.
A contractor arrived to do the work. For whatever reason, they couldn't agree a way forward with ANG. But this is where the problem lies. The underfloor heating package should have been procured a long time ago. Hence my questions to ANG. Why isn't this procured? Why isn't that procured? But we never seem to get a proper answer. And we're now in a position where another underfloor heating contractor has now been engaged. But as of Friday, we did actually on Friday receive a design from that contractor, which is currently being approved by our M&E engineer, with the hope that, sometime in the very near future, that underfloor heating can be laid, and then the screed can very quickly follow. But it's there just seems to be a lack of thought and joined up thinking from the contractor. I've asked their construction director on numerous occasions for an explanation of what's going on. Responses haven't been forthcoming. I don't know how much the guys on site are getting assistance from their HQ. They are part of a large French conglomerate, and there doesn't seem to be much assistance coming from above.
But this, from my understanding, has been a situation for quite a while. There's been changes to staffing and the contractors on the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
that
hasn't helped.
But shouldn't alarm bells have been ringing earlier on? If you're saying they're behind with procurement for some time ago, you'd have thought, could we not have done anything as a client or project management team?
Well, there's all sorts of things that we've tried, but we just don't seem to get any sort of positive response. So Lee and I are meeting tomorrow with the architects and others to try and develop a plan to try and get ING to the table to try and agree a plan to completion. So that's tomorrow. We're due to meet ING on the 12th, although we are trying to get a meeting arranged with the parent company is called Artelia, and we're trying to get a meeting with Artelia's directors. But at the moment that isn't in the diary. But yes, you're right, alarm bells have been ringing and we've been trying to get answers to our questions, but it's just a real uphill battle.
Can I just quickly ask, are these delays, like procurement and so on and so forth, is that adding to the delay of the project and the cost, or is it just the delay of the project?
At the moment, just the delay of the project.
Okay, and that could technically get compensation as well because of
It
the
could.
delay? Okay.
It could.
Okay.
It could. But that doesn't, which is perfectly valid question, Gordon, but it doesn't get us, to where we want to be, which is over the line and completed.
Okay. Okay, but it's in their interests to try and finish.
Absolutely,
Right.
and I think in a phone call to Lee, the suggestion is that they do want to get it over the line, but they just don't seem to be able to demonstrate it in actions.
Okay.
It just seems to be words and not actions at the moment, and it's just an uphill struggle, and it is frustrating beyond belief. To the point where I would say, in all my years in this industry, I've not quite known anything like it really. And I know that doesn't help you, does it? But it's inexplicable. Their performance is inexplicable at the moment.
Right. Councillor Hughes, Sean?
Hi. Hello, Sean. Hi. I'm glad there is no more cost at the moment, because from the original quote that came to this council before on the previous administration, when they signed off a public works loan, the figure given for phase 1 was 931,000. We're now close to 2 million.
That's not correct.
Well, I've got the figure here. 931, £402 was the number that came to council. It's in the council minutes.
£1,263,000 was always the initial cost.
Well, this is the cost that came to. This is on the council minutes from your administration. That when you were discussing the public works loan.
1.2 million has always been the cost.
Okay. Regardless, we're still nearly 100% over the budget. Where I'm concerned, well, there's lots of areas to be concerned, but Greenwood are the project managers, ING are the contractors, and it seems you have, don't take this person on, I'm talking to you as a company here, don't seem to have any weight to project manage this. So it just feels that you don't have any influence whatsoever in controlling this project as project managers. I see nothing in here that gives me any type of constructive way forward. I can't see any Gantt charts or any sequence of events that are going to free up the project.
The Gantt chart's got to come from the contractor, because we have no influence over labour and material resource.
What do you have influence over?
We don't have any influence other than over. Our influence is to drive ING in the right direction, but they've got to run with us, and at the moment they're not running with us. I could draw a Gantt chart and circulate it to you all, but it would have no meaning.
Sure.
Because we don't know where resources are coming from. We don't know whether the intention is to put 20 people on it, or 40 people, or 5 people. That's why the working Gantt chart.
On ING are putting the people.
Yeah, so the working Gantt chart has to come from the people who are procuring the resources, whether that's labour or material.
So what you're actually saying is that Greenwood have no influence over this project now and can't actually influence the outcome or manage the...
We can only influence it through the contract.
Right. Can I suggest, so there are measures in the contract to facilitate improvement. If members would like to know those details of what can be done, because it's contractual, I can do it in confidential session, so I could probably explain. Yeah.
Well, I mean, at some point we need to know what weight we have.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, are there penalty clauses that can be applied? What is the leverage that we have to make this project move?
I can give you that detail, but I'd like to give it in confidential session.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't want to declare our hand or our position. Okay, so I can probably expand on that for you in confidential session because it's contractual. Okay, and I can share with you the contract via email. With the interpretation of that contract, I can probably help you that. If members are happy, we'll be going to closed session. I can give you some of that detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think for the answer for the public is there are contractual ways we can do that, and I'll explain what they might be and the consequences of those in private session.
Okay.
Are you happy? Yeah.
Oh no, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
We seem to have reached a complete impasse here, and the project managers can't manage the projects. There's a complete breakdown in all communication. We have no schedule here. Most of the reasons that I've got here for the floor screeds, the joinery is for whatever reason or for some reason, but I can't actually put my finger on. Well, I know it's obviously a sequence of events, but it seems that you've got contractors turning up and then not performing the job for whatever reason or for some reason, and it's really quite concerning that that there's nothing I can actually get my teeth into here to understand what's going on.
One of the reasons for the meeting tomorrow is to try and sort of block that impasse. Really, you know, we're as collectively going to try and find solutions that within the contract that we can apply to try and get some action from the contractor. What Lee's just mentioned, you know, and he can talk to you about that, but I don't know, Lee, whether you want me to talk about, you know, what potentially could be done in terms of...
Okay, we're quite blunt here. Okay, we're going to get into some serious conversation with the contractor, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We need to have those sorted out between ourselves before we declare the public.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it in a confidential session then. If it's contractually sensitive, then absolutely. Yeah.
So without going into contract, I've got more questions on this because I just need to remind people that these professional fees here, is that all included in this 1.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's not
that is the projected cost to complete.
Right. Okay.
I thought that was A&G cost. Sorry. I thought 1.5 is A&G.
Well, let's just say the I assume when you say the projected cost to complete is 1.577 million. That is everything including A&G and Greenwood.
No.
No, the fee. Sorry, Gordon. The fees are separate. So
right.
The projected cost to complete at 1.577. That includes the current and forecast extension of time, costs of the extra works, and any anticipated variations.
Right.
The original contract sum being the figure above of 1.095.
It's just A&G.
No, still okay. So hang on, so the 1.5 million, 1.577 million doesn't include professional fees?
No.
Right.
No.
And the professional fees is here? Where is that?
It's not in this report.
Yeah, because he's reporting on the contract.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Cool. Right, okay, I think that's fair enough. That's good to know. I don't know. And then I'm going to remind you about that, the gross valuation figure.
That's the work that I&G have carried out so far.
That's how much it's cost so far, and we're going to pay them 5% afterwards. Is that right?
The 5% retention is 5% of that 1.084.
Right.
So what's that off the top of my head?
It's 997,000 or something. I think that's on here.
10% of the 100,000 roughly, wouldn't it?
So
it's about 50,000.
They've done so at the time of this report, they've done £1,084,965 of work. Yeah, We've paid him all of that, less 5% of that figure.
You have to will.
We don't have that.
Have. So we hold about £50,000 worth of retention, just over.
Right. And when you say valuation, another word for valuation might be cost in this case. Because to me, valuation sounds like I can actually value.
No, okay, so what happens is they submitted some works to put in a staircase, to put in a front door, to put in a window, yeah? And then line entries on a bill of quantities, yeah? And when they say they've done the door at 50 quid, our guy checks they've done the door, ticks it off, and then matches, we pay about that agreed price.
Right.
So this is all about work that's completed.
Right, okay. So
Yeah, work's completed.
We issue a recommendation.
right, okay.
The architect issues a payment certificate, and then
That's
To say the work's done.
paid
right.
Yeah.
on.
So they'll say, you ordered a door at 50 quid, we put in a door at 50 quid, architect comes and says, yes, you put a door, you hang it right at 50 quid, and gives us a valuation statement for us to pay, less 5% retention bonus. So that's the money we spent.
So that number will go up 108.
Oh yeah, until it hits
Yeah,
the
until it gets to
157.
1577,
Gotcha. Right.
or to a figure that we agree,
Yeah.
Right.
bearing in mind what we've just talked about in terms of penalties and such like.
Okay. Cool.
You know.
One other thing was mentioned was something that was delayed because the work wasn't good enough. Said something to do with something.
Yeah,
wasn't good enough. What does that mean?
well, the insulation that carries the underfloor heating and then gets screwed over,
Right.
that insulation was, when we came to do a site inspection, it had been laid incorrectly
Right. Okay.
with air gaps where damp could find its way through.
Okay.
So we had it all pulled up and we had to start again.
Project manager bit to make
Well,
sure
it's
that's
in
done.
terms of an inspection,
Inspection.
you know.
And that won't be an additional cost for us though.
No,
Just have to
absolutely
follow.
not.
That's good to
Absolutely
know
not.
as well.
I mean, similarly,
It's a cost to them.
it's cost to them, but similarly, the wrong glass went into the windows, so that will have to come out as well.
Right. Okay.
It's now gone back in the right fashion, but again, that's a cost to them,
Okay.
not a cost to us.
Excellent. I bet it is a little bit of a cost to us just because obviously we can't use the building for the little
Yeah.
time, but that's
Yeah.
fine. That's really good.
But, you know, we can't, obviously amongst all of this, we can't neglect, you know, our inspection duties, you know, if that delays the project and so be it, because it's got to be right, we can't leave you
Absolutely. Okay.
a defective building, obviously.
Okay.
So,
Thank
that
you
was-
for explaining these things to me.
We did have a schedule of works for the period leading up to January, didn't we? I think.
Yes, we did.
But that just started
well,
slipping
it's
early on.
already behind, so we've asked for a revised.
Yeah.
That's what we asked for when I talk about. I think it's on the second page. About halfway down, we're anticipating a revised programme from ANG, but this has still not arrived. And I wrote this about 10 days ago, and it still hasn't arrived. You know, there's nothing giving us any confidence about how they're going to get this to the end.
And has there been recent communication with them or from them? Or when was the last time?
I wrote to their construction director the back end of last week, asking him to respond for the second time to my previous 2 emails, which had lots of questions on,
Yeah.
which I'd hoped I'd have the answers to bring here tonight, but he still hasn't responded.
And we've not had-
So,
No, so I've engaged and he's spoken to me, and I've relayed some of those messages, and that's prompting our meeting tomorrow. Okay, so I've spoken personally to the director about what we can do.
But your meeting tomorrow is just between you two and PH3 architects.
it is, and our
I'm sure how much influence an architect can have over
Right.
the outcome of this project.
So we then meet with ANG, okay, as a group, all on our side, project manager, designer, me as the client representing you. Before we go into that meeting, we need to understand what our strategy might be and what we can negotiate. Okay, so we need to meet tomorrow. I can explain some more details to you in private, okay, because I don't want to reveal our hand.
That's
Yeah.
fine, that's fine.
So,
Just at some point, I'd be interested to hear ANG's point of view on this, because that's the elephant in the room. We've got a very clear picture from from Greenwood.
Yeah.
We've got your view on it.
Yeah.
There has to be some reason why A&G, I mean, whether it's because the delays over building consent, etc., has put them behind schedule and they no longer have the workforce available that they'd scheduled, and now they're struggling to find enough a workforce to do the work that they'd originally scheduled to do the work 6 months ago. I don't know, but we're missing that voice in this arena to actually put the full picture together.
Yeah. And they probably won't do it publicly because there's an extension of time contract that they've submitted to us to say, if you just wait till the confidential session,
Can I just add one thing, Lou? The reason PH3 have to be part of the discussion is this can vary from job to job, contract to contract. PH3 in this instance are what's called the contract administrator. And there's contracted, that can sometimes be us or the quantity surveyor. But the contract administrator in this case is Sean at PH3. And the contract administrator is responsible for assessing the claims for extension of time. So he has to be part of this meeting tomorrow because of the claims that have come from A&G for extension of their programme. He has to assess and administer. So he does have a role to play.
Who decided that?
It can be decided at, in any contract. Anybody can play the role of contract administrator. 50% of projects, it's the architect. 50% of projects, it could be the project manager or the QS. It would have been a decision taken way back when this job started.
Okay.
I don't know who took that decision at the time.
Yeah, but Sean's right. There's a real urgency in making contact with A&G, isn't there? So you have your meeting, and as soon as possible, that needs to lead to some sort of negotiation with A&G.
We have a meeting with them here on the 12th, but I'm hoping we can get a meeting before that with their directors.
Yeah. We've all seen, we've not seen anything happen to the town hall. We've seen nobody there.
I think there are directors within their organisation who won't be aware of the seriousness of this situation. And I think they do need to be aware, frankly.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at timescales. I mean, if you're meeting with them on the 12th, so that doesn't really leave. I'm just very aware that we keep agreeing or being given potential completion dates, which are really quite fictitious. And I mean, the 12th gives us what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, effectively 5 weeks before Christmas, 5 working weeks before Christmas. And then realistically, nothing's going to happen until, I can't imagine they'll be back on the 6th of January, maybe they will. Clearly the 24th is never going to happen, 24th of January.
Well, there'll be 3 working weeks after Christmas, which gives us 8 working weeks. I'm hoping before the 12th that the underfloor heating will be down and that the screed that follows might be down as well before we get to the 12th, which is a week tomorrow, isn't it?
Well, there'll be some sign of engagement on their part, won't it? I mean, we've had no engagement with them over the last few weeks.
I mean, what's the lead time on the joinery? I reckon that's probably close to 8 weeks, isn't it?
It is 8 weeks, yeah.
It is. So even if they order the joinery this week,
On the 12th,
On the
we'll
12th.
measure it on the 12th.
we're not going to be.
We're getting,
You're not going to be ready by the 24th.
which is why I've said,
Hence the scepticism about the 24th being published date. Yeah.
I've said there, the 24th of January now seems unlikely.
Well,
Given, although what they have done since I last reported, is all of the joinery is going to one manufacturer, and they are looking at splitting it between 2 or 3, which might fall short in that 8 weeks. But again, that was one of the questions I asked that hasn't been answered. I said, how, you talked about going to 2, 3, 4 joinery manufacturers. Who have you gone to? How many have you gone to? It's not been answered. Because that would give us an idea of the direction of travel that they're going in. But it's, And yes, you know, I hear what Councillor Hughes has said. You know, they will have their side to the story, I'm sure, but we can't. They don't seem to want to engage. You know, they won't respond to my questions. You know, which is why I'm very keen to meet their senior leadership team rather than the team on site.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say one of the things. Sorry, Wendy.
Sorry, no, I was just going to go back to this joinery. How much of it is linked? If you're suggesting splitting it over various joiners and they've all got different production slots, how much is dependent, you know, do they all butt together or is it different parts of the building? Obviously the stairway, that is all of one.
The stairs is one thing.
Yeah.
You've got a new bar, you've got reception desk.
So those are separate
they're
items?
separate items,
right,
which we're trying to encourage them to use different manufacturers to shorten the process that Councillor Hughes has talked about.
Because you were talking about really 12 weeks for this joinery, 8 weeks of production and 4 weeks of fit.
But if we can
So
split,
we're up to Easter.
but if we can split it from one manufacturer, you know, that 8 weeks could become 3 or 4 weeks, and the fixing period could go from 4 weeks for one manufacturer to 1 week for 4 manufacturers altogether, if that makes sense. You know, so if there's a 4-week period for one company, if we can split that into 4 companies and they're all on site for a week and it's the same week, it's an if, and until we get the answers, not necessarily the answers that we want, we just want some truthful answers as to which direction they are going in. It's very difficult to report when we don't have a full hand of information. So that's, unfortunately, that's where we are. But we're working to try and get that information to the table so that we can formulate a plan to complete.
What I would add is that there's been some dialogue, okay, but the dialogue by email and phone conversation isn't cast iron fact, okay, and we're reporting what they're reporting, and whilst they've got some good intentions about the bits and pieces, until it's cast iron, we're not reporting it. So we've got some hope that they're making some endeavours there, but until we see it in writing and they committed to it, we're not able to give you that commitment. So I'm not going to give up half a promise, I'm going to give you a full fact. So there is some dialogue, I could probably expand on that in the private session.
Okay.
I think
All I want to say, we should probably have some sort of review when the project is finished, and it would be really useful to have some sort of timeline, because obviously I've been in the council the entire time and it's been difficult to track exactly how we've got to this point. And I don't know if everybody else is 100% sure exactly how we've got to this point, but I certainly get quite confused. My apologies to you, Sean, if I got the numbers a bit.
That's all right.
Sometimes I confuse the total cost with the total cost.
Yeah, it's
different.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like, even though, like during the summer that we had this situation where there was delays and stuff, and I can go through all the agendas, I can go through all the reports, and it's still difficult for me to say exactly how we got from when we closed the town hall and we had this 1.2 million figure and where we are today. So maybe we can learn from it for the next time as well. So, that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
I think just one final thing on that. All of my correspondence to ING always finishes with, you know, the goal is a common goal, and we're, you know, we need this doing, and we're, you know, the tone of our emails is firm, but it always finishes with, if you need us to help, we're here to help. This isn't a, you know, this isn't a one-way street. You know, the only way we're going to get this finished is to work together. And I always finish with that. I always finish all correspondence with that, with those words. But at the moment, they haven't really taken us up on it.
Okay.
Which is very frustrating.
Well, thank you very much for the...
I wish I could bring you better news than I have.
Well, we hope in the next few days
I hope
to
so.
get some
I certainly hope so.
good news. Yeah,
Get some of those Christmas lists.
Right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, we move on to item number 5. No, item number 4. Yeah. Sorry, something like that. Declaration of interest. So, do any members have any declaration of interest regarding the items on the agenda? No, so none of us do. We've got any written requests for dispensations, so we'll move on to item 5. Some mayor's announcements. I handed out as a separate bit of paper. I'll just quickly, I went to the 2 Sustrans Active Way events, one in Radstock and one in Midsummer Norton, meet the volunteers and workers who are promoting healthy living, walking, cycling. And at one of the events I met the Radstock Mayor, Councillor Dan Doe, and we just spoke briefly about working together, having some dialogue on issues that concern both our towns, which is the sort of active way in the and Sustrans is sort of the paths, cycle networks, how we can work together on that, and youth services and youth provision, because we've spoken a lot about the overlap, with people and children and things. So that, hopefully we'll have a chat about it. There was the Somerset Prostate Screening that the Lions Club were helping to deliver that I looked in on over the weekend. And finally the Midsummer Norton Carnival, I submitted my comments for the programme, which now is live online if you want to go and have a look. The programme is live. So yeah, you were invited to that Monday the 11th of November. To go
Bye, Steve.
Bye.
So go and attend the Midsummer Norton Carnival, get your support. And then I've got some upcoming events. Summer Valley House Care Home opening. That's on Monday the 18th of November. That's the care home opposite the New Norton Hill Primary School. And they had contact with the council before myself, so I'm going along to that one. And then the Methodist Homes Association Communities Fundraising Concert, which again we gave money to, they've got their Christmas concert on Saturday the 7th of December in the Methodist Church, so we're all welcome to visit that. Okay. No questions. Thank you. Item number 5, to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting. Has anybody got any comments? No, everyone's happy with that. Right, so Gordon's proposing. Does anyone want to second that we accept the minutes? Sean's seconded it. All in favour of accepting the minutes? Carried. So, 3, 4, 11. Thank you very much. Item number 6, co-options. We've had an application from Mandy Taylor.
Your number is out.
Oh, this one. Oh, sorry. No, this one. Oh, yeah. 7. Co-option. Did I say 6? 7, yeah. Co-option of a councillor, Mandy Taylor. So we've had the application. Anybody got any comments, points you want to raise?
I think it's really great that you put yourself forward, Mandy, particularly the fact that you've attended so many meetings and sort of sat and quietly watched us and then somehow still want to join the council, which is remarkable. Best of luck, and I would support you in the application.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? No? So I propose we accept Mandy's application, seconded by Sean. All in favour? Carried. Mandy, welcome to Midsummer Norton Town Council.
Okay, sign it. Seconds of office. You sit down the table straight away.
We've got a badge already, I love that. Efficient council.
You just need to sign here.
That's the official minutes, also I couldn't send them out beforehand. I don't need to say it. I will send you out a declaration, register of interest. I know it's not working, but needs to fill out. And I'll get Joe to set you up with a council email. In the meantime, are you happy for me to share your email while I send stuff out? Thank you, welcome to the council.
Okay, so you run a table now, you've got the same rights as any other councillor. Yeah. Just speak, not speak, vote, not vote. And if you're unsure of procedure, just give me a shout. Okay?
Right, thank you. Moving on, item number 8 is to note the resignation of Deborah Thatcher as Town Councillor. If I can just publicly thank Deborah Thatcher for all her hard work and efforts in the time that she was a councillor. She stood for election in May 2023 and won a seat. She's served on several committees, including Finance and Ops Committees, Staffing Committee, and also on the Town Trust Management Committee. She's been a very enthusiastic member of the council, keen to learn about how the council works and to how she can help to deliver the best for the residents in the time that she's been on the council. Like I say, she's been hardworking, thoughtful, inquiring, questioning, really trying to understand, what this process is and how she could get the best for Mr. residents. So I'd like to publicly thank her for her efforts and her hard work in the time she was a council. Right, so this is, I'll just read the formal bit. It's a notice of casual vacancies was published on Monday the 21st of October, giving 14 days after the date of the notice for submission of a request by 10 members of the electorate for an election to fill the said vacancy, and the deadline is Friday the 8th of November 2024. Good. On to item number 9, appointment of a new councillor to the Finance Committee and to the Staffing Committee. So, start with Finance and Ops Committee. Does anybody want to put themselves forward? Wendy?
Might I ask that this be deferred to the next meeting? We have yet another new councillor.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be appropriate tonight to ask her if she would like to join any of these. Obviously Simon likewise is new, and I think now they know that this is an agenda item, if we could defer it, it gives them a whole month to think if they'd like to be considered for it.
Okay.
And there won't be a staffing meeting next month, during this month, so...
Right.
I don't mind. I mean, it's like we are 3 councillors down tonight.
4, I think.
4, is it?
Yeah, 4 down.
4.
Yeah.
So we're short on numbers. If anyone's looking at
Okay.
I'd say if anyone's looking to put themselves forward,
I'm getting the finance committee, I assume it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The staff, what does the staffing committee do with staff?
So staffing committee exists for a couple of reasons. So look at the budget for the staffing structure of the council, so we'll provide some input to the budget process about that. It will deal with disciplinaries and grievances should they occur, and it will deal with any sort of internal stuff. They'll get a review of the appraisal system. So it's a very small committee. Currently, the major task is recruiting the current town clerk.
Right, okay, yeah, excellent, thank you.
Potentially other vacancies, there are more vacancies on that now. There's 2. How many members?
Well, I think at the last meeting,
And there's
no, we just lost Deborah, that's all at this stage. But I think it certainly would be useful. I have to think Wendy's suggestion of deferral might be sensible, unless there's any of those committees that are not going to fill a quorum.
Staffing is only Linda, Charlotte, Sean and Wendy.
Right.
We are quite down on that.
Yeah, but
So-
but 3 is a quorum on that.
3 is a
So
problem, there's only 4
we're still-
members.
able, and the next meeting is
December.
December.
No. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be Monday, but we moved it.
The
So
finance is a bit of a concern for me personally.
Finance.
Because you've got a meeting in 2 weeks' time.
Okay. What's the current makeup of the finance and
we've got
ops?
Sean, Charlotte, Martin and Cheryl.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah, no, I'd like to put myself forward for the finance, to be honest. Obviously, I've been in the council for a long time now, and I do watch the meetings. It was a good meeting, it was a quiet meeting you had 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I jumped off finance after the last AGM, but what I can do is, I do have a little bit history of some of the way we've got to where we are, like a lot of this. So I could see people when they were discussing the budget and some of the historical items, and people going, I don't understand that, I don't understand that. And I was sitting watching on YouTube, going, I could explain that, you might disagree with the reason behind it. So I do take quite a keen interest in that side of it. So if the council decide they wish to wait and have an election for that position, that's fair enough, but otherwise I'm quite happy to go back. I'm happy, I would like to go back onto the Renaissance Committee.
Really second.
Well, I think the first motion was to defer it.
Okay, well, are we going to defer both, or?
Well, what was your motion to defer both?
That would have been my preference, but
Right.
most certainly the staffing committee at this moment in time is one of my major concerns.
Should we do the second?
Concern as in should defer.
Well, the fact that we've got 2 new members and they're probably still feeling their way around at the moment, and it'd be quite nice that they've got time to ask questions, to go to Lee or Kate and find out a little bit more about the construction and what these committees are about, rather than just say tonight, would you like to be part of this?
Or even come along and attend the meeting, well, you've already been to the staffing
Yes.
committees, Wendy, Mandy, sorry.
So I think it seems like there's less urgency with the staffing committee, because
Yeah.
they're less likely to.
And in fact, we're in mid-project with the,
Finance.
with the.
Yeah, it's an odd time to jump on it in the middle of
Yeah.
the most crucial thing you've ever been used.
So
Could we suggest then that we defer the staffing committee decision, but Gordon's made it clear he'd like to be considered for that.
So you propose we defer the staffing
Yes.
appointment, and Gordon, Sean, you're seconding
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
and so we'll all vote in favour of deferring the decision on the staffing committee.
It actually makes no odds, because the next staffing committee is after the next council meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, then related to the finance and ops committee, Gordon's put himself forward, and there's able to second. Gordon. You're seconding, yes, I did. So all in favour?
Sorry,
Sorry.
Gordon, you proposed yourself, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that one, yeah. Mandy's second.
Yeah, and that's a wholly reasonable way to do things. If people, members often think, can I propose me? Well, yes, of course you can. Not me, but...
Sorry, I missed the vote because I
We
was
haven't done
asking.
that yet, so all in favour of Gordon on finance and ops, that's unanimous. Good. So make a decision. Item number 10 is to Town Hall preparation for opening out of scope works to receive a report on preparation for the return of the Town Hall following construction works, the operating model, works with assembly rooms, and consideration of proposed phase 2 works. And that was sent out by the clerk earlier today.
Later today.
Which you've got in front of you, so I don't know if you'd like to.
Yeah, so firstly, I really do apologise for the lateness of this. I hope you might appreciate it. I was hoping to shape it with better news from the Town Hall project and an end date. I was hoping to get that sort of Friday. I didn't get that. So it's not nearly as mature as I wanted it to be to you, but there are some things. Hence, I've put it in draft, Labour Office Accommodation, so I've got the wrong title. So I don't know if you want that chance to read it, or have you got...
I've read it, but it's just I thought maybe I've read the wrong thing because
Yeah.
I'm confused with the title.
So just, I'm just conscious we probably want to document formally some of the background here. So I talk about...
Sorry to interrupt you, have I got that?
oh, there was a copy of hard copy on the table, sorry.
Right, yeah, there's another one there.
So I don't want to spend 2 minutes reading through it, or I'll just praise it.
You
Probably
praise
best to
it.
read through, is it?
You praise it.
It'd just be good to understand what exactly, what exactly we're trying to achieve from this.
Okay, so what I was hoping was that we have on Friday, we have a project plan with a firm date when the town hall reopens.
Okay.
Okay? You know tonight
Yeah.
that we've got a date, we're not confident in it. So what I wanted to do was talk about, what we're going to do to the assembly rooms. There's a £50,000 in a budget line
Okay.
to redecorate it, okay? And I'm mindful tomorrow or next week we might know that information, and with Christmas coming, we want to probably agree amongst ourselves, or yourselves, what colour you want on it and what the curtains might be and those bits and pieces, okay? Yeah, I mean, there's a bit more than that.
Yeah.
And rather than just say, well, by the way, I'm going to buy some magnolia paint when you want blue or something. We're not getting to that. Maybe that specific data. We might say pastel shades or whatever. But there are some things about getting. Now, what I wanted to do is be able to say, yeah, and we've had a word with the contractor, and they're happy for us to be on site while it's still their site. Yeah, and I haven't had that conversation yet because it didn't come through on Friday. And then we can maybe do some leading up to Christmas, because once the floor's in, yeah, which we think might be next week now, we can get it ahead of the game, which might accelerate the opening. So handing the keys back is different than opening the town hall. So the moment we've got a project date, which we don't have any confidence of, the 24th of January, which will then require some work to the inside the assembly room afterwards. What I wanted to do was bring that forward a bit, see if we could do some in the beginning of December, and so I need something. So what I've asked them for is a working group of the council to advise me how we might spend that £50,000, if any of it, on those bits and pieces, because we will need to confirm the decorator. Yeah, we need to sort that before. The contractor will repair the floor to its previous condition, but its previous condition was probably not good enough for a new building. Yeah, there's some little bits to discuss. So. I was hoping that we'd be able to get some detail on that.
Okay. But knowing where we are now at
Yeah.
this point, is this something? I mean, obviously we're looking at appointing a contractor, or are we? Well, I guess it depends whether we're planning on managing the project ourselves or appointing I go to the point.
The contractors, but you've already appointed the decorators, the floor people,
You have.
the council.
We've got a quote.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, they've been appointed.
To do this work,
To do the decorators, you've already appointed the
have we?
decorators.
Okay. And how much of our £50,000 budget have we allocated to them for that?
I didn't think the £50,000,
No, so how much we allocated to the painter and decorator?
just bear with me.
Sorry, I know we're springing questions on you. Don't feel that we're expecting instant answers. So I'm just trying to get my head down, because I know we allocated in the last budget £50,000 for works to enable the building to function.
I thought, I in my mind, I had the 50,000 as to refit. Once you get the keys,
That was my.
that was what I call white goods.
Yeah.
That's what the 50,000.
There'll be some for curtains, a bit of redeck,
then-
tables and chairs, bits and pieces.
Well, this is where we need to be clear.
The quote for the decorating was 21,500.
The decorating was 21
1,500. The re-varnishing of the floor was 3,500. Rewiring of the assembly rooms is 20.
So,
And the dehumidifier needs to dry it out, about 700.
yeah. So we need to be clear. I mean, first of all, that 50,000. It looks like we're repurposing that 50,000 slightly from the original reason for it was ring fenced in the first place. It was primarily there for making it functional in terms of fittings and furniture and equipment and such, like a working kitchen and seating for the cinema and all those sort of things. We're now talking about using this money for floor works, painting, decorating, electrical work, work that was, I thought perhaps would have been.
Yeah.
And from the numbers that I'm seeing there, the £50,000 is going to be woefully inadequate.
Right, I suppose what I just need to do is say that we're close to the point where we need to do some of this work.
Yeah.
Yeah? I need to produce a little project plan, a list of the items that need to be done, essentials, yeah? Share it with councillors. I don't want to wait for another meeting in 4 weeks' time if we can progress as a working group via email, is my point. Yeah?
I'm just, okay, I am concerned, particularly when we know from the previous meeting we had at the F&O that we're currently heading for a huge hit on our reserves. The projected figure at the moment is by the end of this financial year we'll only have 150,000 roughly left in the bank.
Let's wait until we get to the
Well, that was in the FLO. It was in that was nothing confidential.
I see you're
That-
not sure, but I think
but we're
we're
talking-
trying to work out how we get the
Yeah,
upstairs.
but I understand that. But first of all, we need to understand where the budget is coming from. Is it coming from? Is it
Yes.
in the capital
So that's
expenses
the
project? Is it coming from revenue? Is it coming? Are we that £50,000 that's ring fence? Is it now allocated for this
No.
works rather than the?
No. So the point is, and I would suggest what you allocated that for might be a point of discussion around this table. Yeah. What I'd like to do is document it for
Okay.
clarity and have a list of those items, because you might list 9 things, you might list another 9 things, you might have 7 commonality. So by forming the working group, I just list the items and say, this is what I understand it to be. You'll say, or not what I did, and we'll do it via email and go, right, that's what we're up to, okay? Rather than, if you can do that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, rather than wait till the 4th of December meeting, maybe I can save a week or 2 on the project, at my point. So it's not about giving me a delegated authority to go and do what I think.
No,
So me listing those items, if there's not clarity there, then through via email we can say, or we can jump on a Zoom call and go, no, I think it's this, that and the other. And the thing then is, if I identify the costs, the question is, where are those costs coming from? Well, it depends what the costs are. If we do a valuation cost and they're £49,999, yeah, that's tables, chairs, redecoration, everything, gets everything everybody wants, then we budgeted for it. If it's £500,000 and we've got to find another £450,000, you're going to say, where do we get that from, Lee? Okay, I've used that figure as a ridiculous example.
But
But until we know that cost.
I think it's a really good idea to have a working party. So the first thing is there's so many unknowns, and I don't know how much work's gone into it already, but we still to the stage people don't seem to know if we need chairs or not. I can tell you for a fact we don't need chairs because the Community Trust have given a whole bunch of brand new chairs for the project start. However, this needs to be written down so we don't keep on thinking, what if we have to buy 100 chairs for the cinema? So I think a working party, the first thing we can do is work out what we need, and then perhaps how much it might cost, and then find out where we can possibly get the money from. So, I mean, I'd love to put myself forward for it, because I think it just requires actually doing a little bit of investigation, background checking, to be able to present to council and say, look, we're going to need to buy some paint, and we're going to have to buy some, well, not chairs, but all these other things.
I agree that we need to understand this. Whether a working group is the way to do it, that's up to you. But the fact is, financially, we are screwed. We are way over budget. We are going rapidly through reserves to pay the bills because we've run out of grant money, we've run out of money from the Public Works Loan, and we're now talking about how are we going to, what kind of paint are we going to put on the wall?
You just said, Sean, sorry to interrupt, you just said, you talked about the costs.
Yeah.
Sorry, so that's
But
what
that's
document.
the critical point at this
No,
point
that
is
good, but what we
understanding
need to do,
costs.
at least saying, we're getting the town hall back. How much can we afford to do would be the way.
At least we know.
This is what needs doing. How much can we afford to do, or what have we got the money for? So what we initially need to do is work out what needs to be done as the owners of the town hall and the client. And what can we do? We can't do anything about the bottom part at the moment. That's going through all these meetings and things. But the top, we can drive to try and get that on track, and then also figure out what needs to be done to it. And then we can, the cost of it, and then we can decide if we can afford it or where it's coming from, if we need extra money. But a step at a time. I think if we do it through a council, we wait in those, or even finance ops, we wait in those 4 weeks, another 4 weeks. So I think it may be right saying, at least saying we can expedite it if we have a working group which we can communicate more quickly and aren't tied into those monthly calendared dates, and so we can move that quicker, so we're in a better position to decide rather than waiting.
I wanted to come in with something that we've probably missed a little bit here, but at what point could we have re-entered the assembly room? Now, when the project started, we were told it was going to be 3 months, hence why we left all this projection kit up there. That has been the main loss of income, not being able to run the cinema and the rest of it. Now, I know we've had to redo the floor and stuff, but is there any reason why we couldn't have started getting the assembly room fit for purpose again earlier, once basically the floor was strengthened? And I don't know if that's something we should...
Okay, so that's a negotiation I need to have with the site, because they own the site. Yeah.
Right, okay.
And for us to go on the site,
Gotcha.
yeah, we need a health and safety approval. So if we got handed over the building at the end, yeah, and then we did all the work afterwards, yeah, we get on and do it, okay, our own way, yeah. And I get painters and decorators, floor people in. If they go on their site and they own it, yeah, there's another level of check about the risk and method statements need to comply with their site management. Okay, so they're not going to let our town warrant in to do some stuff. Okay, they also won't let anybody in, which might slow down their own project, which they get penalised for. Okay, so there is a willingness for them to do that, and I need to just identify what that specific is. And if I get a painter and decorator in, I need to say, give me your insurance certificate for your public liability, give me your, the PPE or whatever, those bits and pieces, yeah? Now if it was your own house, you'd probably say just pitch up, chap, okay? If it was our own building, we might take a bit more risk with that and assume he's got the PPE, yeah? But with the, I mean, we shouldn't do, but we might do, you know, if it's just one wall, yeah? But that, the site is owned by ANG, and we just need to jump a few hoops from them. And if I say, look, I want a decorator coming next week, they say you can't come next week because that's the day, there's a big delivery van. So I just need to deconflict some of those, and that's what we're after. That's what I'm trying to do here is get us a list of things to do, say we're going to do this under this cost, yeah? Where's the money coming from? You want to know, yeah? Is it within budget or within an allocation? Is it not? Do we need to cut our cloth accordingly? Do you want to spend a bit extra? So, and then I want to get decorating tomorrow.
I have a point to make on that. I'm going to wait to do.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Well, that's one way of looking at it, but I mean, I think the funds at the moment are very limited, and without us having a sensible conversation about how we're funding not only what you want to do, but what we're currently having to pay for, which is currently unallocated and coming out of reserves. That's the more critical conversation than what colour should the walls be. I mean, to a certain extent, that's fiddling while Rome burns, deciding what colour the wall should be when we're in this really awkward situation with the...
Well, I'm going to ask you, yeah, do you want to paint the inside of those walls?
Eventually, yes.
Right, but okay, so it's got to be done sometime, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So there's no harm in choosing the colours.
No, I'm not suggesting you choose the colour.
Oh.
I mean, I'll use that as an example. You might want to, okay? The point is about getting the principle of decoration, floor. If it comes up to more funds than we've got...
We just said it has.
Huh?
It has already. The cost of the electrician, the cost of the decorator, the cost of the floor, we've already reached the 50,000
right,
figure.
so why don't you allow me to write that down in a list?
Okay.
So we're not quoting about 20,000, or somebody saying it's 21 or 19.5. We get the figure. So we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. We know precisely what those costs are, because you might say, actually, we do want it decorated. Okay. We do want the floor varnished, or actually, no, we won't have the floor varnished. Can't we just put a rug over it? Is it cheaper? So some of those options to see if we can get in with in a reasonable cost. Yeah, and then I'll bring and I'll cost those for you. And my job, or our job, mine ultimately, is to tell you if you can afford it. So we do need to go through those things. At the moment, yeah. I've only been here for 3 or 4 months. I can't find any detailed historic documentation of it, other than an odd reference to it in meetings. There might be it on emails, etc. Okay, but there's not a document. There's for the public records that lists it, which is what I want to do. So we're quoting the same bits. Yeah. So you might say we want something to cover the windows. Yeah. We do want it painted. Yeah. We would like the floor tended to. Clearly, the electrics must be up to date. Okay. And then we might. I'll manage that to say, well, really, we want to keep in budget because we should be keeping in budget, shouldn't we? Yeah. At the moment, my thought is at £50,000, but we then say we do need.
But what I've got no problem with that, and I've got no problem with this. If the working group is the vehicle you want to use, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's got to be realistic. We can't have another wish list where everyone just chucks in gold-plated taps and
No.
It has to be realistic. We have to be very aware of the constraints that we're up against here.
Yeah.
So I can interrupt. What we also do, and there is a list, I have seen
Yeah,
it, there is a list of what A&G are providing. For example, in the toilets, this is off the top of my head, they're providing the fixture and fixings in,
Yeah.
in the top.
What I'm
So
saying is
we
we need to
that
join all that together.
list, isn't it?
Okay, what they're going to do, and part of it, what the ruins left when they've finished it, what we think we need to do. And I think you've probably discussed it in the past, okay, and you've sort of got it between you, okay. But I just want to come up with, that's the list. Okay, those are the indicative costs, okay. If it's £2.50, then leave fill your boots, yeah. If it's £200,000, it's you're joking, yeah. Cut some things out, get some better costs, okay. But I can then produce the next three. I can get some wheels in motion. If you all say it needs to be decorated, I mean, and that's sort of almost a done deal now because you have agreed a quote, okay. But we can always change it and say, actually, we won't bother. Okay, and we'll ask a volunteer group, or we'll just leave it tacky. You have no aspiration, I guess, to leave it tacky. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the thing is, I'm happy to be involved in this process to report back to council because that's the first thing to do.
Yeah.
The community trust is clearly the main user of the upstairs of the town hall. My town is free, so that's going to save you some money. And I think the first thing is we just need to get some people that are willing to do this. And then work out. Well, the working party, I'm not sure how much working they have put into this refurbishment so far.
Yeah,
Is this is the assembly rooms a revenue generator for the council?
Not to the town, no, not to the town council.
Right, okay.
But it is for the community trust.
Community trust,
But it's a community trust.
Not necessarily, it's one of the
So I guess at some stage, it's
Well, the cinema-
within
the
our
equipment
interest, the community trust's interest, to get it,
Yeah, that's because the
Up to
community trust will have to run the
a
bar
standard.
there, they'll have to run
whether that be gold or bronze.
I'm what Lee suggested, is starting to think about
That is
the
a whole-
process of getting
Yeah.
Bag of worms you just put out there. So
Yeah, no, I'll stop. I just wanted
Yeah.
to know if the council, we the council got the money and then we the council would then spend the money. But if it's going to the community trust,
Well,
that's
typically the trust we
Yeah.
own the equipment and furniture and the chairs. And the
Well, there's a
equipment,
couple of
so-
further points, of course, in here, okay, which relate to this. Because there was a lease document that was presented to this council some time ago.
Last year,
Early this year? Certainly the last financial year, in the previous financial year. I'm not quite sure that there wasn't a decision to agree it.
It came to, this is all off the top of my head to do, it came to the council, we came to the council, it was sent back saying it wasn't appropriate, or you did, some people, councillors didn't think it was appropriate and there was stuff in there they didn't like, to send it back to the solicitors. At that point, unfortunately, it did stall because then Katie left and it got sidelined. So there isn't a lease. Well, there is the original lease that you didn't like, but I don't think we've been to the solicitors, have we yet? And
No.
we don't quite know what you
Sorry, this is
want
the
to
lease
do.
the community trust you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the building came over, I haven't found the original lease that came across, and I know you said we've got it somewhere, but I haven't looked at it myself. So when the building came across, it would come with a sitting tenant with a lease.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Which
That's sort of-
building is this?
Oh, we're talking about the town hall.
Yeah, okay. It's not a-
Okay? So if you buy a building with a sitting tenant in it, that lease transfers, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, they've got protected rights. I'm not too clear at this stage, because the lease was terminated.
Was it?
Well, it must have been because the building's in the ownership of the council now, because we're in charge of that contract. So if it's not come back to us, okay, why the heck are we managing the project?
Well, no, because the thing is the community trust only expected to be out of the building for 2 months.
Ah, no, so I need to confirm what the arrangement was. Is it suspended? So it stopped, okay? Because if it didn't stop in some fashion, then why are we talking about it? And why are we spending money? Okay? So it's our building at the moment. So I need to research what the termination was or the suspension was, to be clear about what I need to give you that advice. Yeah? Which then leads to the next thing. Does it go back to them? Is it automatically go back to them? Is it go back under different terms and conditions, or are we legally obliged to give them back on the same terms that we suspended on? There's a couple of questions to ask there. Okay? Yeah? So, if you rented out a house to a family, say, can you move out in 4 weeks while I do some work, and then a 3-year tenancy, when they came back, they'd have to remainder of that 3-year tenancy, perhaps?
That's moving on to a different subject from the one we're talking about.
No, sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, but
I mean, that's a whole new subject that we need to debate about.
Yeah.
The lease terms, whether we actually want to lease it, whether the town council should be managing the building themselves, and leasing.
But my point is, I've hinted about it. There's something we
Yeah.
need to do in the future. Okay, so it's something we need to be sure of the fact about how that lease was suspended, ceased. Was there a legal obligation that on exactly the same terms? If it was ceased on exactly the same terms, then it's got to go back to the same terms.
But then if you're going to go down that road, then you would also then have to explore whose responsibility it is to decorate the hall. If it's leased to a community trust, whether it's their responsibility to pay.
There are
which then, you know, as I say, this is a very muddy situation we're talking about here.
Yeah. So well, I want some clarity about the legal position, about the obligation of the council. Okay. You know, and I said before, the intertwining, is not clear between the organisations. Yeah. You know, I've said that before, so and we're looking to try and understand that. Okay. So the current arrangement might be fine, but people should understand it, or it might not be fine, and we need to separate some things. It's about lines of responsibility, powers of decision making, that sort of thing. So that's a piece of work that needs to be done. I'm not suggesting we do it as part of this, but it's just mindful, which brings me on.
So the scope of the working group. So I think that's what you need to.
Is the
reference as the working group, because obviously there's so many grey areas here to do with finance and stuff. That's so.
No, you're right.
So if you're talking about a working group that's limited to looking at specifically the assembly room and what's required to make it functional, then that's fine.
Yeah. I suppose my point is, because I mentioned about the lease and bits and pieces, what I want to be doing over the next few weeks is providing you with some information that you might want to consider at a future town council meeting, which will give you an informed decision. And you want to do that based on legal surety, wouldn't you? About, is it our building? Yeah. What did we say, however long ago it was, about that lease?
There's quite a few things, because also there's actual ownership of the buildings to be determined as well.
So in a nutshell, what I hear you saying is two things. One is you're going to find out all the things that have been said in the past about what money is going to be spent where in terms of electricity and chairs, that kind of thing. That's number one. And number two, because there seems to be some unsurety about when the lease began and ended and who owned it and whatever between the trust and us council, you're going to check out on that.
Yeah.
And that's all that's it.
That's it. And the second bit isn't for the working group to decide.
So what do we need to decide on today?
A working group, okay, to talk about how we're going to.
And how is the working group set up?
Well, currently, so in here there was a committee set up in 2023 that I look like I've never met, with some terms of reference in the back, which is about managing the whole project. It looks like that never sort of.
Right, that was an emergency, and just again, this is the background, is so once Clark left in short measure, and we suddenly realised nobody had authority to instruct contractors. Actually came up, so we had an emergency committee in case they had to make a resolution. It was never called.
Okay. So, and then there was a working group, I think, created in February, was it? March? What I said here. So I can't find anywhere in the minutes saying the working group was formed, but it was referenced in a March meeting. Yeah, the working party will be formed to discuss the final details of the town hall, such as the colours for the assembly rooms. Sorry, that's why I took that paint. Yeah. Okay, with councillors Robertson, Lucas, and Plant.
Who's still on the council?
That. However, in May, you had a decision of the council to disband all working parties until after the strategy day, apart from the following, and one of those was the town hall refurbishment working party, and that was to comprise councillors Plant, Lewis, which is Lucas, Lucas, and Wells. Okay, and that group's never met since I've been here. Okay, so you formed a working group or change the membership at your annual meeting in May, like you do with your committees. Okay, so currently that working group has those 3 people on it. So really what I want is, do you want to keep that group? Do you want to widen it to include everybody.
Yes, well, I've said that's
Okay, well, I propose that Gordon joins that group
More
and
than
keep
happy to
those three people who's on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to join it.
Oh, and I propose,
I mean, why don't we make it all members of the council
Absolutely.
group?
Excellent.
Yeah, and those who choose to engage are entitled to
It
engage.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I propose
So the
that
proposal
then.
is, well, the proposal is to create a working group to deal with matters arising from.
Well, I said be responsible for inputs, provide guidance to officers with regard to out of scope works required to complete phase 1 and oversee any spend of 50k town budget.
Yeah, but maybe not the 50, that's fine. And we're going to worry about the terms of reference later. So.
Yeah.
Okay, right, so-
weekly, for instance.
So,
So I'm just looking. So I'm just looking at your terms of reference here. So this working group, I get what we're talking about.
Oh, no, these terms of reference are the ones from January. I'm just saying this is the only terms of reference I've got anything
Oh,
related
right,
to.
okay.
I'm not suggesting that at all.
Okay, because I'm not happy that
No.
with delegated authority to sign off appointment of professional team for phase 2.
The working party would like to do
That group doesn't, it was I understand from Councillor McCarthy, it was
That's fine.
formed again 23 to
Okay.
oversee a thing.
So you have terms of reference for this group?
But no, the terms of reference will be, merely be responsible for providing input and guidance to officers with regard to out of scope works required to complete phase 1 and oversee any spend of 50k. Yeah? But the working group can't make that final commitment. Yeah? We can oversee it, we can come to a decision. Yeah? We can set some hairs running that everybody's in agreement with, and then we'll come back to Town Council to confirm those actions.
Yeah.
And those actions will likely revolve around how much and where's the money coming from. Yeah?
okay.
Okay, so the summary then, so we forget the phase 2 thing and it's just about the
Well, no,
actual
so
works.
there is the phase 2, so
We just vote on the first, on the B there, on the working party, so we get some decision made. So, well, Maddie proposed we accept this. Gordon's seconding that we accept this formation of
I'm
a
just-
working group to.
I mean, I thought that the explanation I just had from the clerk was that we're conscious of the fact we're going to get the keys back and we need to get some preparation works
Yeah.
done so that the assembly rooms will be ready to open
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That was my understanding.
That's it.
We're now talking about phase 2.
No, we're not.
No.
So
we're
we're
moving
moving
phase 2 from
No, there's two recommendations. We'll just look at B and agree a working part, a working group
Okay.
to consider
Simply
what
clear what
needs
we're
to be
voting
done.
on.
yeah, you're just voting on B in that report.
Okay, forget A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not to get A, but A is a separate point.
Okay. Okay.
So it's proposed, it's seconded, all in favour of setting up the working group. Okay, that's passed.
And that's an all member working.
Yes, all
Yeah.
working group. Those
So
that
we
want
can-
to or can't make it on the day. Right. So, and then what about the lease arrangements?
Well, no, so that-
we're going to let you find out about that.
So that, I'm going to do some of that work in the background to give you some information on how you might proceed. Okay, and I'll give you some options. Yeah, and what you can't do and what you can do.
So
Okay.
we're going to go away and do that.
Yeah, and we don't need to work group because that'll have to come back to council
Yeah,
and to be honest, I'll be digging into it. Okay, so, but I mentioned it in the report, was all. And the other one I've got is the council confirms its aspirations with regard to phase 2. Yeah. Now the reason I put that in is because if there's absolutely no aspiration, if somebody walks in and said, here's £3 million, do you want to do the town hall? Would you do it? Okay. If you've got no, it's absolutely fine as it is, let's leave it, we'll spend the £3 million on something else, okay, then I'd like to know that, because should I be investigating, spending my time and the staff's time on trying to find 2 million, I'm not sure that's quite the right figure, but a large sum of money through grant funding to complete 2. Do you want me to do that or not? Basic question. So setting aspiration isn't a commitment to do anything. It's about, do I spend some time to see if we can find some grant funding for it?
Can I ask you a question? In one line, can someone tell me what phase 2 is? One line.
An
Extension at the back of the building.
Okay. The one line answer again. Why do we need that?
Right,
If
so-
you stage phase 2 is the kitchen, the offices and the storage.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll add a line to that. So the town hall's been done. It currently gets used in the middle. Yeah. All the tables and chairs to reconfigure the room are kept at one end or kept upstairs. there's insufficient office accommodation for the town council staff and the
chairs.
no, and the community trust. Okay, one of them can operate there. The extension is largely about so all the chairs that go so they can be put into a storeroom to the side, so the room can be utilised more often, and it creates. You can use the room. You can turn the room around more quickly. You can have more options.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can I ask other people? I just hear that there's a whole lot of mess and we're just getting a whole lot of money even just to do phase one. Do you people think in short amount of talk, do we need phase two or should we just wait till the ground has settled a little bit?
Well, we might not have an option whether to wait a little bit. The finances of the building, I don't know how much you were in the assembly room before. How many people have really used the assembly room in their town hall?
Is that the upstairs?
Well, we're talking 30,000 in the report.
It's just, well, I'm asking people around this.
So-
because a lot more people, there's a lot more people in this Norton than there are around this table. So it's a big, beautiful, grand room. And the first question I asked when I went into it, I said, why doesn't this get used more often for functions and all the rest of it? And the simple answer is the one that Lee alluded to, that there are 80 chairs up there which are used for the cinema, and one lift to get them downstairs. And it would take a person a day to get the chairs down and a day to get them back up. So there is no commercial benefit to letting out the room. What a waste of this wonderful room. So, in order to actually maximise the potential of the building, as Lee said, which is in the business report, it's in the plan report, it's been planned by the council for over 10 years, is to create the ancillary storage so that top room can be used for high value events and community events, and could be a multi-purpose sort of community facility rather than really just a cinema or a room with a whole bunch of chairs in the corners. That's the business plan.
Well, to be fair, Gordon, the business plan is completely flawed. We don't have a viable business plan for this.
We've got a consultant in it.
Yeah, we did get a consultant, and the business plan is completely flawed.
Okay.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, okay, will you tell me, it allows £6,000 for utility costs for the whole year. Do you think that's fine?
Well, it's
£15,000 salary.
I'm sorry, can I
digress?
Gordon, can I just
Can I finish?
Yeah, you can finish, but you're saying things as though they're true and in fact, and there was a lot of discussion about the business plan, and it was the agreement of councils, as Kate alluded to, was to have more information about it because we couldn't agree on it. It wasn't that we all felt, the whole of the council felt it was ineffective or inappropriate or was badly put together. It was that we needed clarification.
That was my view at the time,
but your time.
And it was still my view.
What we're not talking about the business plan necessarily. What we're talking about is the functionality of the space.
You haven't let me finish what I was
All right,
saying.
go on, sorry, Karen. I just wanted to get that point in.
The business plan that we currently have, in my opinion, is completely flawed and not viable, and it will not be self-sustaining. So it's going to be the building is going to require for us to provide some substance to it financially. One of the issues we've got is that the original costing for this, phase 1 and phase 2, the total costing for phase 1 and phase 2 was 2.2 million. We're almost at 2 million just on phase 1. 2 million is now suggested that phase 2 will be 2 million additional on top of the 2 million we currently spend. We don't currently have any options to get grant funding. And I think that's the only way it'd be able to go forward if it was fully funded with grant funding. So I think what Lee's asking is, should he be looking to see if he can find £2 million for grant funding? If he can, absolutely. If you can find someone that's got £2 million grant funding for it, then that's fine. If you're asking how much time or money we should allocate to trying to source that 2 million, that's a different thing altogether.
Well, I suppose that probably comes as a supplementary question.
Because in the budget there was a line put in there for a £20,000 budget
For consultancy.
for consultancy to look for £2 million of a grant fund.
Yeah.
But
that's not for here, but if there's a view from here, it would help the finance committee help the budget, of course. And a view from here doesn't bind the council. Yeah.
I don't think the discussion about whether we should or shouldn't be going forward is a working group decision. I think that's a full council decision
Oh no, yeah.
to discuss
Yeah.
how they want to proceed with
Yeah.
phase 2.
Oh no, that's definitely not a working group decision.
Yeah. So in terms of what we're talking about now, which is the working group,
No, so that's done now.
yeah.
So my point is, okay, if you decide that phase 1 is it, no more ever again, yeah, even if somebody, Benepack gives us 3 million, yeah, then I need, yeah, to understand what the working configuration of that town hall is for it to operate just phase 1 complete. Okay, there's some work to be done about who uses the office space, because phase 1 and 2 was to have the town council staff and the community staff. We both don't fit in phase 1. Yeah, so there's got to be something else to.
So perhaps what you need to be looking at is a plan that doesn't require phase 2. So how can the building be configured?
Well, I think I've got to do that anyhow as a backup plan. Okay,
I mean, we've got the solar centre.
not our building.
We've got office facilities at the solar centre. We've got other options available to us to maximise the space. Let's not concentrate on one space, all the space we have available to us. So what's the plan without phase 2 to achieve all those objectives and making that workable as it is, and to house the offices elsewhere?
Yeah.
Can I just come in with this? Within this session, I think the council spent a lot of money on a consultant to advise us on the viability of the town hall, and that report came back and it said the only way for the building to be viable and not require constant subsidies for the rest of its lifetime would be for the extension in some form to be able to say that was business plan was approved by council, including by you, Sean. I think we all agreed that the council
I think we need to replay that.
No, that was Taylor Consulting.
What I said was, at the time, I said we had the first version, which was completely wrong. They went away and they redrew it and they came back and it was still flawed.
Yeah.
So at the time we said, well,
we did adopt it, and the second thing is, if everybody's read it, and I say this to
The business
the staff, and I say it to new councillors, is in 2015 the Town Trust paid for an extensive conservation management plan of the Town Hall, which assessed the full history of the building, how it got to be from when it was built in 1860 to the current condition, or the condition it was before we started knocking it down, and how to prevent us getting into this situation again. Now, if you've not read it, please do your homework. So if you have read it, you would understand that part of the way to make these buildings last is to make them function and to make them used by the community. And that has been the plan of this council since 2012.
but isn't to bankrupt the town in the process?
Well,
Can I, sorry, can I just
Can I-
interrupt
yeah.
it? Mandy, can I just say something first? I don't think we're going to make a decision here today. We're getting late in the meeting. No, sorry, Gordon. We've got a lot of new councillors and new people to the area who aren't aware. You know, Gordon and myself, we were helping out with activities in the town hall before it was closed, and we were aware of the situation. And some of us were there when the architect's plans were drawn up and saw all those. Quite a lot of the councillors, we've got quite a few missing today, aren't aware of the architect's plans and how it was meant to be used. So I think we need more information before we make a decision. So I think we've had some very good, opinions and feedback, and there's been quite a good debate about it. But I think we need to leave this for now, defer a decision on.
Well, I just make a proposal then that if the council were to be granted or bequeathed £2 million to finish off the phase 2, I would say we should go for it. That's all I think that's been asked for.
Okay.
So would we like it to happen if we could get it for Christmas? That's the question.
But I think
it's not the
Gordon, I think that the other councils need to be aware
Well,
of the space itself. Was anyone second?
Does anyone else agree that if we could get grant funding for the
No.
project,
Gordon, I think
would we go for it? Does anyone agree?
Well, I think we just need people need to make more money. Gordon, can I speak? Thank you. I am. I'm the chairman of the mayor's meeting. I think we've had enough, and I've said already we're going to defer this. So can I?
No, you have
put a more motion forward that we defer.
You'd have to propose
Yeah.
and second it.
So can I propose that we defer a decision on this to further information
I second that.
Yeah, absolutely.
and seconded by Wendy. All in favour of deferring this decision on this to a later meeting? Right, thank you. Would it be possible, we're now on to item number 11, which is regeneration programme in Summer Norton. To receive the minutes of a meeting of the High Street Regeneration Steering Group held on Thursday the 17th of October, and to consider the proposed complaints to request that the Master Plan and Regeneration Plan undertaken in partnership with Midsummer Norton Town Council and appoint a representative to attend quarterly High Street Steering Group meetings. We've already got the representative on the steering group, which is Gordon, Councillor Mackay. So really we just need to make a decision on giving our backing to an endorsement to the regeneration plan as it is. So that...
Sorry, do you want to stay?
Yeah, Dave, do you want to say anything at this point? Can we suspend? Do you want to say something if we'll suspend standing on?
No, I think...
Sorry.
I can invite him to say something in favour of them.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be saying as a member of the public, as a member of the representative.
Okay, yeah, do you want to say something?
Yeah, if I could. Would you like, I've got printouts that might be useful.
Well,
Oh,
I think we've got all of this, yeah.
Great, and they got wet in my phone anyway.
I haven't.
It's
Mandy
a
hasn't.
wet copy, I do apologise. There's one
Thank you.
addition, I don't know if you've got any, Lee, did you share the email that had bullet points on them?
Yeah.
Exactly what we're looking
So
at.
Yeah,
That's already shared.
it's in the minutes.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I mean, as well as the representative on the steering group, what we're asking is for officer and a representative's time to engage with the project material as we move forward in a sort of project capacity, sort of delivery capacity for the master plan and the regeneration action plan, which is, I mean, in the minutes there's the timeline of the project. Obviously, we're looking to have the master plan adopted by Baines at the end of next summer, so it's a sort of project through from now until then. We're in the discovery phase where we're having lots of conversations with the community at the moment. We'll use those conversations to formulate the two documents, the master plan and the regeneration action plan. So yeah, we'd just like the town council sort of it to be a joint project between Baines and the town council and a community trust, just like the Heritage Action Zone project was.
Good, Dave. Can I just ask about the officer time for meetings and administration events? That's the only real cost to the town council,
correct,
isn't it? You're asking for what sort of amount or?
I would suspect that we would meet, say, for an hour once a month, and there would be, you know, back and forth on emails between that, but not talking significant times. Baines has the funding and the officer time to develop these plans, but would like to do it in a conversation.
Context of it, yeah, okay. Any further questions of Dave and the proposals there? No? Okay. So I propose that we agree to agree to the proposals here. Consider the proposals. Yeah, agree to these 6 proposals. We have a seconder. Gordon's seconding. All in favour of agreeing to support the regeneration plan? Thank you very much. That's passed unanimously. Can I ask for a small recess while I go use the pick where we're in. Item 12, Youth Connect Southwest. Consider the update from the meeting between Youth Connect Southwest and Midsummer Norton Town Council, and to consider the proposal to renew the service level agreement for a further 2 years at a cost of £27,720 per annum, excluding VAT. So you had...
That was a recap from Nate that we wrote, that's summarising Nate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, let me get back to the notes. Done that one. I have in here somewhere, yeah. So does anybody have any comments? Gordon?
I do. I mean, yeah, I think in many ways this is probably fine, but I think in short measure, I think the council should try and define what it wants to achieve through its youth engagement and through its youth funding, and then find out a way to find out if that's being delivered. Because at the moment, we can put money into Youth Connect Southwest, that's great. We did put even more money aside, I think, for extra youth facilities. I don't know if the council's really defined what it expects to get and how it would measure whether that's been achieved. I hear from people a lot of the time saying there's not enough for children to do. I don't know whether this is addressing it in any way, shape or form. Maybe it is and it's just not seen. So I think if the council are minded to go with this, they should also start defining what they want to achieve in the future and then ask.
And I think
Yeah, thank
there's
you for the
something in the
landing.
blurb. There's something in the blurb that says that we should think about that, isn't
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why this is, I think, a measure just to get us through the next phase. You know, we need to make a decision with the budget coming up. We need to make a decision on what we're spending our money on, and whether we think this is a valuable item, a valuable service, which we have done for the last few years. And it isn't, I think, as they have said when they've spoken to us in the past, they aren't providing just a way of looking at giving the children something to, or youth something to do. They're actually trying to address some of the issues and problems that come up for young people themselves and young people within society. And I think in the context of what else is going on in other areas, the work they do in Porton and Peasdown and Radstock and Westfield and around there, it works in that context, I think, and they are finding and addressing the issues that young people have, rather than just occupying them, I think.
And I point to an extension myself,
Yeah.
so I've read tonight. Is this something that you would talk and mention when you talk about more collaboration with the Radstock Mayor? Is this something that you would cross over with the Radstock Mayor?
Exactly.
As you said, they're working in all the areas, so they're not just coming to Middlesbrough Northern Town Council and asking for some money, but they're going to Radstock.
Yeah, no, they
I think it might be that some of the children who
There's
go
obviously
to
a crossover.
you don't want the same activity in Radstock the same night as Midsummer Norton, perhaps. You want the opportunity for the neighbouring ones to share a bit of that, because if you just pick, if they both pick the same day, it's about some youth workers being available, that sort of thing. So there's some not economies of scale is the wrong term, but just some better utilisation of the resource. Yeah. Because I think some people in Midsummer Norton will live close to Radstock and some won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be crossover.
Yeah.
Youths going to youth services.
Yeah.
Well, the proposal here is for 1 weekly 2-hour session to be in an indoor session, and negotiation which started with the Community Trust about using the Solar Centre, which is on the border between Midsummer Norton and Westfield, and not far down to Radstock, so it's easily accessible. So that's why we need to, and when they presented to us, and several times in the past, they've said, well, Midsummer Norton young people in Radstock or in Chilcont, or doing these things. So it's difficult to draw a line and say the absolute impact on our residents.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we need to have a discussion.
This organisation is speaking to all the local town councils.
Yes, it is.
And
I think what we're looking at or we're agreeing on here is whether we think what they, not whether we're going to spend the money, because that will come up with it now budget considerations and discussions. But do we think what they're proposing for the next financial year is what we would like to see? And we talked about, they the last month, I think it was when they came, wasn't it? We were talking about doing indoor sessions. They used to use the town hall and do a lot of their sessions in there. So they were indoor sessions. So the last few years, it's just been sort of a temporary solution because there haven't been spaces available. They usually had 14, which was very cramped, and that was oversubscribed session. They're doing that gaming session. But then they got the mobile session.
That was dropped, wasn't it, the indoor gaming session?
Well, only because Carrie left. There was nobody to run it.
So that's an internal thing for them.
Yeah.
They sent their service that was withdrawn from the community.
Yeah. And then they will. We worked out how much money they owe us for not putting that on. They had anything else to do. So, is there a...
What I need is a minded to decision, okay? Because there's a process to go through here. So, at the budget, you'll decide whether you budget the money. So, we don't want to hamstring the budget now. I mean, you might agree with yourself, but let's do it all in one. If you're minded to, I will ask them to reissue the SLA. Yeah? They can come back to us with an update, yeah, I might be able to negotiate a better price, okay. But if it's a service you want to, you're minded to continue with no commitment now, then I can ask them to get me the details over, which are a bit more specific than a letter outlining it, okay? And invite them to deliver that over the next couple of weeks. You can understand its precise impact on the budget. I would imagine it's going to be about the price they're saying it is, okay? So you've got some general view. You can, you know, if you think you've got to save half the money, you could, one of your options could be to reduce the service by half, yeah? Or not, but it's unfair at this stage to make an individual choice in the budget when you've got the whole melting pot in about 5 or 6 weeks. So it's just about whether you're minded to continue it, yeah? And then you'll make a firm decision when you do the budget.
Well, I can propose I am minded.
Yeah, well, it's certainly
Is that
not.
what you said?
I just have to, I mean, they picked an arbitrary increase of 10% based on an increase in staffing and building rental. They haven't got any building rental costs, and I can't see where the extra staff are. My other concern is this replacing one of the sessions with the use of this bus by a skate park. Personally, I would prefer to see both the sessions being indoor sessions. I've seen the bus, I saw it the other day.
Yeah, they bring us to events as well.
But so I mean, obviously, I agree in principle.
Sorry, the point here isn't about agreeing line for line exactly that.
No, but
About that.
no, but I'm just reading what's in front of me.
Yeah.
So, in principle, I think we need to consider extending our agreement with them.
Yeah.
But the detail needs work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before we get to the budget, it would be useful if they could come back to us with some
Yeah.
data and alternative proposals as well.
No, I understand. So we've got clarification of that, of the 10% increase.
So if the question today is purely should we be considering extending our agreement with them, then the answer is yes. But everything else is...
But that's not a final decision to council, that's just allows me to go back and say, get the SLA across to us, we'll go with a fine-tooth comb. I would be saying, why so much? I mean, part of the reason is actually they gave us a fixed price for 2 years, so the wage increases are for 2 years, that's an increases, yeah. But that needs to be explained to you in some document where you can understand as opposed to me just saying. Yeah.
And of course we want to make sure that it's viable for them. I mean, there's no point in us agreeing to this and then suddenly finding out the cost of accommodation or the building exceeds this 10% increase.
Yeah.
Because they'll be looking then to cut costs and cut corners. So we need to make sure it's viable for them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're sort of in favour, but we need more information and need to do a full submission.
Yeah, I mean, gentlemen, I would ask you to have a formal proposal, something along those lines, yeah. At this stage, we are minded to roll over the contract in a similar fashion to that which is now, okay, subject to formal agreement with SLA and costings being underlined.
Yeah, that's proposal.
Sorry, but I so I need to
Do I need to propose, I'll propose that?
Yeah.
Board and seconded, and we're all in favour of that. Okay,
Yeah.
you got that?
Yeah. But in your mind now, when you're doing the budget, you go, there's a £20,000 thing that we're minded to do.
Good. So item number 13, neighbourhood development plan. To receive and consider correspondence from Play Studio regarding progressing the Woodson Dalton neighbourhood plan. So you've had information, I don't think I printed this one out.
I'm not sure I've got that.
Is it in your packet?
Oh, maybe in my pack.
I've had a look through. So,
What page number is it?
It's in order, so as it goes through the agenda, you've got the
It's
agenda
in
right
the
there.
end. Here we are.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any comments? Yes, Sean?
So, I mean, first of all, I mean, obviously, we need a neighbourhood plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be too complicated.
Yeah.
If we don't have a neighbourhood plan, if only because at the moment we only receive 15% of SIL money on building developments in our area. And when we got the neighbourhood plan, that increased 25%, so it increased our income.
Yeah.
It's particularly important that we start it now because with the new NPPF proposed by the Labour Party, in Baines, instead of the 14,500 houses we thought we were going to have to build, we're now going to have to build 29,000 houses. Now, in the previous evaluation of that, in the local plan, there wasn't a plan to build any more houses in Midsummer Norton. They were going to go in Radstock, possibly Farringdon Gurney, Keynsham, outside of Bristol and places like that. But now, with 29,000 houses to build, we are going to get a hit of houses in Midsummer Norton in that plan. So, if they're going to build 1,000 houses in Midsummer Norton, we want 25% of the SIL money that comes from that, not 15%. And the plan could take us a couple of years to get it in place. So I think now's a good time to do. What I don't know is, looking at the costs that are being proposed here, I assume those costs are over more than 1 year. It's going to take more than 1 year to...
No, that's just in September, isn't it?
Sorry?
Well, it depends how long it takes, doesn't it?
That's the whole
I mean,
process.
That's looking at the whole process there. It's unlikely that we would complete an entire process on a neighbourhood plan in 1 year. So whether those costs could also be staged over split over two budgets rather than one budget, is something that perhaps is a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
But the principle of getting a neighbourhood plan in place as quickly as feasible is a sensible one. So
That's helpful.
Gordon.
Yeah, so
I'm not ready, I just sorry.
That's all right. Sorry, Gordon.
yeah, so the council's obviously been trying to achieve this for a great number of years now. I believe something like £40,000 may have already been spent trying to achieve a neighbourhood plan. That's come to nothing so far. Yeah, it's been difficult. I mean, I understand what Sean says, but 15%, 25%. We do have to bear in mind that Baines do give us most of the SIL money back anyway. I mean, although they would be obliged to give us the full 25%, Baines, the SIL money tends to come through.
we can bid for elements of SIL money outside the 15%, but we're competing with every other ward in Baines.
Look, I mean, I get that, and I mean, they did give us
And priority does tend to go to Bath on SIL.
Yeah, well, they did just give us a big dollop of cash to which was very welcome from SIL. So I understand that point of view. I'm concerned about certain things, the cost obviously, whether it's going to be rushed. I do worry it's quite an important document. I think it's a really good opportunity for the town to create a vision within the planning framework, and if you rush it, is it really just ticking the box in order to get the SIL money, which might have some merits? Is it going to be feasible to get something out before the next local plan? And that's an issue. So I don't know, I'm concerned about these issues. We did suggest it at the last budget that we put away money for this, and it didn't happen. Now it's come up again. We did raise the fact that there is a locality grant or something. I don't know if that's available. But at the time it was, we give you up to £10,000 towards it. Maybe we could look at that.
Yes. Yeah, it's referenced in the report.
Is it right? So
yeah.
I mean, so you know, I'm kind of broadly in favour, but I'm a little bit worried. Do we have the money at the moment, and those sort of things?
Yeah.
I've got two questions. What's this SIL money?
It's community infrastructure levy money. It's how the local authority obtains money from developers to compensate for the disruption of development.
Okay.
So
It's sort of tax on developers then.
it is. So the things like extra traffic lights and roads and schools.
Okay. And then the other question is, who makes this nice plan?
So the proposal that we have here is from a chap called Simon de Beer. Simon, until very recently, was the head of planning in Bath and North East Somerset Council. He took retirement probably 8 months ago from being the head of planning, and he's basically been involved in Baines planning for a decade or so. So he understands not only the planning rules and regulations, he also understands the intricacies of
And
Baines
does
planning.
he care about us or does he care about Baines?
Oh, he's retired from Baines. He's now actually, he's a councillor in Radstock,
Okay.
but he's taken retirement, and it's only that I happened to suggest to him that he might want to consider
Okay.
this.
That's
So
helpful.
the thing is, I think Simon will be very realistic about the timescales in doing this, because he has a lot of knowledge of both the mechanics of the planning in Baines and the process of producing a local plan. So I'd imagine his timescale would be relatively accurate, I think.
That's great, thank you.
But remember, this is just this is one quote, isn't it? We're making
Yeah.
a tender for other quotes. So it just gives us an indication of what it might cost or the process
Thank
that's
you.
being involved. So it may end up doing it for us if we wanted to, but we'd have to get other quotes as well.
Yeah. Well, I think the other point that Gordon just raised there, I think is right. I mean, we need to look at. I think these plans are best. I would envisage that in the first instance we would get a very basic plan together that would qualify us for SIL. So right in that respect. But then that allows the plan to evolve more organically as we see things in the town that we want to address within the plan, we want to control and have an input on. That plan can evolve over a period of years to reflect our aspirations for the town. But I think in the first instance we just need a basic model that will qualify us for the SIL. Rather than try and overcomplicate it at the first stage.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. There's a fair amount of effort into this already, and realise that it's just something I cannot, no matter how much enthusiasm I've got, I couldn't push something like that along the line. So if we can get what seems like a relatively low price to get a conclusion, we're all in favour of it.
It's about thinking about budget. Is it something you want to set aside? You can't go for this is a one-off quote. If the financial regulations ask for free quotes, something like that. And then there will be some on costs, some significant on costs.
Right.
All the public consultation,
What was that?
staff dedicating time for it, the resource for it.
Yeah,
You'll have to do environmental strategy. So there's lots of other associated costs with it. They're talking about managing the process. Yeah.
Question. Now, town councils, it's not necessarily the role of the town council to produce a neighbourhood plan. A bunch of residents could get together and produce a neighbourhood plan legally. So, when you say officer time, it should be perfectly possible, in my opinion, to minimise that to virtually nothing. It might need some council support. If we can get community involvement, which is what we should do anyway, and people are concerned about neighbourhood plans. So when you mention council costs, I just want to keep that to the very minimum by engaging the community.
I wouldn't underestimate the cost, that's the trouble.
No, you would absolutely engage the community, because it's a community-led plan that will only get adopted if there's a referendum. I mean, merely the referendum costs are going to cost you £15,000 to £20,000 because it's a public vote. It's like an election. There's a formal election process. So just selling out the polling cards for people to vote yes or no is a cost. Yeah, and I don't know what election costs around here.
But no, but as I say,
but there are some real other costs.
Of course, but as I say, we're not
down the line.
That's 2 or 3 years down the line, but you need to be aware.
But that's the thing. We probably don't have to budget for a referendum in this financial year. We're not going to get that far. We are going to have to look at budgeting when we get to the next one, or possibly the third one. But the most important thing is that we make a decision that we're going to go ahead with the time frame, because that's the critical factor. We can't suddenly get an application come in for building 500 houses in Little Norton. We won't be able to catch up with our neighbourhood plan.
Okay. And for what I said there as well, that even if we just go with this bit, with this proposal, and I understand there will be further costs, we should be looking to engage volunteers as much as possible without being a burden on the council staff. That's not the council staff's core job, is not to produce neighbourhood plans. So I think people like Simone's thing should help.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're aware of the time, we've got 2 minutes to 9 o'clock, so can we propose that we extend the meeting for
I thought we were all saying, you said 2,500, isn't it?
2.
Oh, 2, really, it might be just saying. Okay.
Extend it for another,
Well, extend it to complete the business.
to complete the business.
Yeah.
So what exactly are we looking to do
Sorry.
here? Are we looking to put
You need
this
to vote on
forward
that.
to F&O?
Sorry.
or to-
Yeah, I propose that,
Propose what?
that we extend it by whatever until the
extend-
end of business.
End of
I
business.
second that.
Okay, you're talking about what we're doing about this agenda item.
So in this particular instance, we have a neighbourhood plan proposal in front of us,
Yeah,
which we've been asked to consider, and we've considered it.
okay.
Um,
So I would suggest you need to say you're keen to progress a neighbourhood development plan, acknowledging, yeah, what the sum of those costs might be. Yeah? When you get to budget, you can decide where you go in line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to be very clear what we're actually going to agree here, other than noting the quote that we've received. Are we looking to get an alternative quotes? Are we looking to
Right,
put this
yeah.
forward to F&O and to the full
No, so
council?
what you'll do tonight, if you agree that you want to proceed with a neighbourhood development plan, I'm going to cost for it for you. So I'm going to say, off the top of my head, yeah, there's about 12 or 13,000 pounds for a consultant, yeah, which is quite quick. There is a cost for election, so I need to look not next year, but if you jump off the cliff, you've got to hit the bottom. You can't. There's no point spending £12,000. You're not going to go to referendum, is there? Okay. So you might say, well, we know we need to do that. There will be some printing costs of a document, etc. Okay, so you might want to chuck in, £50,000 in the budget to get off the ground next year and get some bits and pieces done, knowing that once you've committed that, then you're going to be committed to some more expenditure over the next 2 or so years.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so that's the capital cost, isn't it? Okay, but I need to provide you a little brief for the budget purpose to say, once you've committed to that, yeah, then there are some other costs, but once you've agreed in the budget, because there's currently no agreement in the budget to do it, it's not a budget line for it, I can't see. Well, it's not a budget line for it, okay? You might have wanted it, okay, but it's not a budget line for it. Then I would ask people to draw up a specification for a consultant to do it and ask people to give us quotes. See what they come back, okay? If there's only one come back, and it's this one, you might choose that one. But do you know what? There are plenty of people in this country who can do neighbourhood development plans. Not to go out for quotes and test the market for best value would be irresponsible thing to do.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Can I make an observation? If it's going to cost £27,000 over however many years that I think it mentions, no, £12,000, yes? That's what it says?
For their element of the neighbourhood development plan costs.
Okay, so say 20, what do you just give me a ballpark figure?
Well, the last time I did one, it cost me £45,000.
Okay, so let's say it's £30,000 for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
If we don't do it, is it going to cost us more than £30,000 in loss of SIL?
It's dependent on, well, it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on what happens with the local plan that's being developed over the next 2 years and what the allocation of building is to
But we know roughly how many houses we have to build, don't we?
Well, that's the problem. We don't know how many are going to end up.
And how much they're going to cost.
Yeah, we don't. But it makes sense to have it. Yes, I mean,
I'm just thinking
we're
of
not going to lose
opportunity
money
cost and
over.
loss cost. You know, is it going to cost more if we don't do it?
Well,
Or-
okay. So there's two elements really. There's the unknown at this moment in time, which is how many houses or estates are going to get built in Midsummer Norton, and that will attract the SIL money. But of course, the other factor is that it gives us a level of control over building in our area.
Okay.
So we have some input on what they can and can't build.
Okay.
So there's the financial. I tend to concentrate on the financial aspects, but there is that
Control. I'm sorry, what's your proposal again?
Yes. Well, is that...
No, you're keen to progress a neighbourhood development plan.
Yes. And Lee's going to look into...
And I'm going to say what the cost of. If you're not keen to do it,
It's a
because if you think, £12,000, and £12,000 is 2% increase set next year, and if you think you worry about that, then you agree not to.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say two things, I'll be quite brief. Is one, delivering a neighbourhood plan as part of the council's adopted strategy,
Yeah.
which hasn't changed, so that's tick. I think that some mention there for the consultancy fees to get a neighbourhood plan done is very reasonable, and the council should probably resolve to put that money, to that sort of money into doing it, but then what
Okay.
is
That
done.
sounds
So that's my suggestion. I don't know if that fits with the report or
I
not.
think that seems to be
Yeah.
fairly agreeable.
What I would say is to resolve to spend £12,000 additional expenditure on its own when you're about to do a budget for next year. How should you? I mean, you might. Yeah. So you want to do it, but when I give you all the figures of all your wants, yeah, and that's 40% increase in tax, you're going to have to cut something. And if you said this is how come hell or high water, yeah, but you'll make that decision in the next.
But exactly, the point is we're going to make that decision when we get to the budget discussion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
But at this point,
I know I can put a line in now of £12,000 and do
I think what we're saying is we're looking to pursue this further.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, we need to validate this quote by getting alternative bids.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Have you got enough there?
Yeah, as long as you clear. So just
Yes.
the proposal I would suggest is that you agree, the council agrees that it will wish to develop relatively promptly a neighbourhood development plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is fine, we've already
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
So do we need to vote on that?
Yeah.
We do need to vote on that. So I propose that.
Isn't the business?
I'll
Mandy's
second that.
seconding it. We're all voting in favour of.
And we didn't do a vote earlier on.
No, we didn't. No, I'm trying to get to
No,
that.
we're going to do this.
If you're not sure. So yeah, so you propose that we extend the time to finish business,
Yes.
and
I've
then
written resolved anyway because we
Yeah.
carried on. So.
when you seconded it, we've all voted in favour because we kept talking.
We defer that decision.
Right, okay, so that was maybe development plan committee meeting minutes. Right, so we've also got 3 committee meetings in order on the thing. It was finance and ops committee meeting, so we'll just that one first.
We're doing that one first, please.
Well, that's the first one I've got on this, the minute book.
Okay.
I think it came last on another list, but I'll do that one first, which I was the chair of, so the minutes are here. If I just say, to look what we did do, we resolved to approve further risk assessments in relation to grounds maintenance and office activities, which is quite important. And then in terms of the budget, we really wanted to be responsible, to focus on responsible financial management and while also delivering services that enhance the Midsummer Norton and the lives of residents. So initially we wanted to make sure that we didn't overspend, we didn't grant a massive wish list that we couldn't match. In the context of, as we've talked about here, the uncertainty and the cost of the town hall, but uncertainties about other costs such as wages or central services costs that we didn't know about. So in terms of potential costs and liabilities that we've got coming up, we didn't think that while we felt, it says here, that many of the aspirations of individual councils to increase spending and service our merit, these shouldn't be included within this sort of budget discussion at the moment. We should sort of be thinking about maintaining the level of service we've got as a sort of a baseline, and whether we want to drop any of those things or add some extra bits on where we could, which is what we've been talking about here. So I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything more about that. Was any more questions?
We were going to ask a grant question, weren't we, for January?
What was that one?
Lee,
Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Yeah. So, I mean,
do you want me to?
it came as a point that you have £10,000. We have £20,000 set aside for grant funding to lots of 10,000. Yeah. You can make an immediate saving now of £10,000 this year budget use. If you deferred that or reduce that, or if we're going to do it, then
I think
or do you want to lay that to?
I think the recommendations from the F&O
Yeah.
were primarily to understand the hole we're in, which is even if we're eating into our reserves because of the town hall. So the first thing we'll have to do in the new budget is replace the reserves because we have to maintain a minimum reserve level. Just to do that, just to keep our heads above water by replenishing the reserves that we're currently burning through, is probably going to increase the preset by 20% on its own. So we're not really in a position to start looking at other wish lists and things that we might aspire to do in the town. We are really financially governed by the property of the town hall. So the issue with the grants, I think it's something that we will.
Well, no,
There's grant funding in January.
There's grant. You've got 10,000 in your grant pot.
In this current year?
In this current year,
Okay.
to be discussed at the January F&O meeting. You can say, it's not on the agenda, but we need some sort of decision. You can say, to save some money, no, you're not doing any more grants this year to save you the £10,000. Because if you do want to get the £10,000, we need to get the publicity like out yesterday. So that was to try and
I misunderstood that conversation at the F&O, if I'm honest.
sorry.
I don't think that was at the F&O, that's now, is it?
No, sorry. I think it was alluded to there, we didn't discuss it at all.
Okay, I just say
it was alluded to about you could save some money on grant funding.
So my understanding from the F&O was we discussed in the budget whether we look at we have to look at grant funding in the budget.
Yes.
And one of the things we looking at was whether the council should be handing out grants at a point where but I didn't understand.
No, that was
It was
bringing
part of
some
our problem.
this finance.
We alluded to it, and then we had this conversation last week where you've got 10,000 in the pot to give out in January. To save that £10,000, you say, sorry.
In this year.
In this year, sorry, no, you haven't got the money.
Okay, I'm with you.
Or, yes, we have got the money.
But I wasn't
And then-
specific enough in the F&O meeting to explain the difference between this year and
So,
next year's budget.
because if you're doing the grant funding in January, we need to get the information out like
Absolutely.
yesterday.
I think my opinion is that
Yeah.
the funding that we've already committed to in our financial, where we discussed it at the last budget and we said we would allocate £20,000 for grant funding, I think we should honour that commitment in the current year. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a full debate
Yes.
during the budget whether we want to continue that sort of budget funding into
You may not get any applications in, or you may say no, but that's why I'm getting information out.
Okay, so yes, anybody?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I don't think that the grant policy. I think we should probably review the grant policy. The idea of having two tranches. I don't know if you've ever heard the expression "ask a stupid question." You know, and there is no need. We never used to have this problem before, where we felt the need to give away 50% of the grant money in the first tranche, and then 50% of the grant money in the second tranche. And I said, of course, that's exactly what's happened. So I've not been on F&O.
Sorry, I don't get this ask a stupid question.
I said, I've not
Get a
been.
stupid answer.
Yeah, I've not been on the F&O committee, but I was kind of amazed to see my wife now is a proud owner of a Midsummer Norton Town Council branded rugby shirt. So yeah, I know, exactly. And obviously, I think, is that critical spending for the town? I'm not sure. Now, F&O decided it was.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is, having committed to the grant money, you can't now rescind that. That's absolutely ridiculous thing to do.
I don't think we.
However, I don't think there's any need to go asking people to go looking for grants. If people know the grant policy, people from the public can come forward and make the grant. There's no need for the council to try and give away the money. It's not essential that we use up the grant money. If everybody needs Midsummer Norton Town Council crests on the rugby shirts, if they come to us, we can assess the grant. There's no need to want to spend the full
No, that's what I'm saying. You may get the applications in and then say no, but I still need to get the publicity out.
No, you don't need to. Why do you need to get the publicity out?
Because
the budget line we service for, and if we service, so we should advertise it to everybody.
Because when you did the grants in July, within your policy it says you're doing publicity and it has to be in 6 to 8 weeks before to be considered at the July meeting. So you need to do that again for the January.
Does our policy say? Sorry, excuse me. You were saying our policy is to.
It's in two tranches, July and
But
January.
you said the council policy is to publicise that.
Well, we don't publicise it. You don't get any grant. You won't get any applications.
Exactly. That's my point about asking a stupid question. So if people desperately come to us as a council looking for grant funding, of course we should consider it, but we shouldn't be looking to give away money.
That's your opinion, though, yeah. I mean, but then you consider the big, what's it called at Randstad, the big giveaway thing they have there, isn't it? they have an
Lottery
evening where they come and people
Lottery.
do them, yeah, but you know, and that happens to replace this. Well, whatever. But I mean, it could be something as a positive. It could be a positive thing, couldn't it? Where we're saying midsummer to the giving, you know, is this money available? Whether you know, some people might think that's good, and some people might not. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we are going to do it, then it's important that everyone is aware that it's available, so that everyone has an equal opportunity to consider if they want to put in an application. Each charity or scout group or whatever, the awareness is important, because otherwise it gives an advantage to those small groups that know it exists, that can come in asking for bids. So if we are going to do it, it's important that everyone knows we do it. It's also important that the public know we're doing it, and they can scrutinise us and how we decide to give away money in grants. So I think the process is quite important.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get something out. I'll get something out on social media.
Well, we'll read the policy.
Right. So
we'll act along the policy and the budget that was approved. We'll follow that decision of the council through from what it intended in May. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Branded football shirt.
So that's the plan. So then, planning committee. Anybody got any comments on sort of more information about the planning committee or the staffing committee?
I've got a comment on the staffing committee.
Okay.
You haven't got the date for the next meeting, you've just got January 2025.
Don't look at me, I was away.
Yeah, no, it's because we felt that we're in the process of recruiting a town clerk at the moment, and depending on the timeline of that, when we might want to meet. So,
okay, time was deliberate.
Oh, it was deliberate, because we were thinking that the default date would be something the 6th of January.
I just thought it was an error.
And then we want to see.
Yeah, it might mean that because of the way that the interviews are falling
Yeah, no,
and the decision process.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So that's item 14. Item 15. Midsummer Norton Recreation Ground. To consider recommendation that the Midsummer Norton Town Council, as sole trustee of Midsummer Norton Recreation Ground, appoints the following town council officers as signatories to the Midsummer Norton Recreation Bank account with Unity Trust Bank with full administrative and payment access. So that's Joe Corbett and Caroline Brown. The current signatories to the bank account need to be removed as they are no longer councillors or staff of Midsummer Norton Town Council. So that's the proposal, that Joe Corbett and Caroline Brown become signatories.
But who is Caroline Brown?
They're two members of staff.
I know Joe Corbett, but Caroline, does she work in the same place?
Yeah, she's only been here since July. She came to the last council meeting actually.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just a technical bit. So the Recreation Trust need to meet and do the end of year accounts, hold an AGM to post this accounts.
Yeah, that makes
Currently, we are unable to access the bank accounts because the only account is on it people left the council. So we're just going to put 2 officers on so we can get the details from the bank, present the accounts, get them signed off, and then the committee can then meet, and then the committee can then approve its own people.
Propose second.
Yeah,
second. All in favour?
Yeah.
Everyone's in favour.
But without any current signatories, the bank require a board resolution, and this is the board resolution.
Okay. Item number 16, reports from councillors representing outside bodies. I'll go on then. I'll just quickly say something about the Midsummer Norton Community Trust had a trustees meeting and discussed the sewing centre, the bookings which are up, and the state of the lease that it's working on between itself and the town trust, and spoke about the events, report back on events over the summer and upcoming events, the Christmas event, and there's an update from Men's Shed, who have been very successful. They all subscribed, and there was so the financial report was given, and they're currently putting together, the managers putting together the grant proposal for the town council, as we've heard, is due in November for the money that we currently give them. That aspect of things. They talked about the purchases they've made recently in terms of putting events on PAs and generators and things like that. That's Community Trust. Anyone got any questions? No. The second one was, it was the, who else did I go to? That was it. Any building?
Yeah, I was going to say there's a few things. There's a High Street regeneration meeting,
yeah,
which I went to, which was really good. They've got it this year. Obviously that was followed up, they did a consultation exercise at Farmers Market
Yeah.
on Saturday, which was really well attended. It's actually one of the most popular farmers market we've had considering this season, which was really, really good. So my thanks to Beth, Nick and Kevin, who did the High Street Silent Disco. Councillor Mike Alton turned up as well. I was there with my community trust, not hat on, t-shirt, running that stall, and it was really good. I hope all the councillors have been to the Bath Nest Regen website. Have those ever been? And filled in their suggestions, because the more engagement they get, the better. And to be fair to Baines, they've put a lot of effort into this, which is absolutely great. The Town Trust and the Community Trust both applied to Microsoft for non-profit organisation grants, and were successful. So we've got, each trust has 10 Microsoft Office premium accounts down to 300 standard ones. That's incredibly worth potentially £40,000 a year of IT services that we've got for free. And I've configured it all up, and we'll all have our own dedicated emails and cloud storage and everything else, which is fantastic for the trusts. I know, it's really good. I know, it's worth doing, isn't it? On the community trust side, the community toilet scheme's up and running, and we've actually got people signing up for it now. So the little community trust spend a penny stickers are appearing in windows. You can scan the QR code, find out when toilets are open, get your water refilled and use those toilets. It's been picked up by the Midsummer Norton and Bathstock Association. They've run with it, which is really good. I'm really chuffed for that. The What's On guide is doing really, really well, and the Community Trust actually got a little award from Google the other day. The first time we've had more than 1,000 clicks in the month. So lots of, we used to do like 200 or 300 a month.
Yeah.
So lots and lots of people now engaging. On the Town Trust side, the Town Trust archive has been transferred from the Unit 14 to the Summer Centre. So a massive thanks to Dave Paisley for getting them out of the loft, something I would have been too scared to do. Sandy Mackay for helping transfer them, and Mrs Mackay for putting up with all these boxes in the house. They're now in storage again at Summer Centre. We need to go through them at some point. Has everyone been following the Cricket Memorial on the Town Trust website? It's been really well received. So in association with the Cricket Club, we have created a memorial website dedicated to the 12 cricketers who died in the First and Second World Wars.
Oh, I didn't see that's right.
Yes, and it's great learning about the history for me. Did you know that one of the guys killed, his father was actually one of the architects involved in the town hall, Reginald Bird. So that's really good. That's brought a lot of people into the Town Trust website. We've never seen an engagement like that before. We've had reels, tons and tons of people visiting the Town Trust website. We've even had people signing up for our mailing list, which is really good. I encourage all councillors to sign up for the Community Trust and the Town Trust mailing list now, which is really good. We did have our first commercial interest in hiring out the town park, but unfortunately that fell through because we couldn't agree a price. So instead, they are going into
we're way over target.
They are going into the Summer Centre, and that's it.
Yeah, fantastic.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
That's good. Thank you, George. Thank you for that Town Trust update. I quickly just mentioned the Christmas thing. I put a Christmas invite from the Community Trust. I should say that's all, the planning is all going ahead for that on the Thursday the 28th of November. So move on to item number 17, date of the next meeting. Next full council meeting will be held on Monday the 2nd December in the Hollies at 7 p.m. And then move on to item 18, proposal to exclude the press and public for the following items because published to prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be
Just
translated.
getting really interested.
Really getting
Good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Good night, David.
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you. So I propose that we go to public, and Mandy's seconded, and we're all voting in favour. Thank you very much. And now we're